Today we will discuss an important concept in object-oriented programming, which is the differences between abstract classes and interfaces. We have discussed that both of them have some abstraction, like that some of the methods that are not defined, but how we say that an abstract class which has undefined method and an interface that also have undefined method are different and similar from each other. So let's take a look at the code and I will explain with the code. So let's take a look at a very simple class. So I have a very simple class which I'm calling my test, and I'm just going to have some, let's say it has an integer which I'm going to call num, and it has an string which I'm going to call data. Let's say I just have some things that I have in here. So it's a little normal class, as you know that it has inherited all of the methods from the object class, because by default all of the classes are child classes of object class. Now let's check it out a little bit further and add more methods in it. So here we have our code, and I have a class, my test, and as we told I have written those. Now I was talking about some other guests, so let's kind of insert code right now. And I insert code, I have my getter and setter for my, and I choose them. I'm using NetBeans to generate this code. So I have done this. These are the things. I can also have a constructor if I want to. So build a constructor in there as well, and then choose everything in the constructor. I generate that and I got my constructor here. So I have my constructor, I have my get and set name. Let's say I want to add a abstract method in it, and I say void, and it's a void method, and I say let's say the method name was details, and I just did not put anything in there because I assume that something will actually, some of my subclasses will add that in here. So let's say what is the error. I say it's missing the method body or declare abstract. So that's not a problem. We will, because we want it. It's not a mistake. We wanted it to be an abstract method. We say void abstract detail, and okay, I have this in here. Well, let's go on the top. Now the class is also fussing because the class is saying that I have to, since I have an abstract method, and so what do I have to do is I have to make sure that this should be declared an abstract class as well. Okay, sorry, this should be public abstract class, not class abstract. Let me put it in there and fix it. So I have this abstract class method, and let's see what is the problem with this one. I have, let me check. The problem was the placing of abstract method. I apologize, I put it after void, and kind of without thinking much about it, but yes. So abstract keywords comes in. I have a abstract method which doesn't return anything and it doesn't take anything, and I have no body in it. Do remember, if I put even an empty body, that would not be an abstract method because it does have a body. Doesn't matter whether it's empty or not. Okay, so I have to remove that if it's an abstract method. So a few things that you should know. This is an abstract class. Okay, in this abstract class I do have constructors, I have variables that are just normal variables so that I can set and access by using getter and setter methods. And I have several methods that are not void, not abstract, right? They are not abstract. And I also have an abstract method in there. So what did we learn about abstract classes? And abstract classes can have normal methods like getter, setter, or some other type of data manipulation. They not all of their methods must be abstract. They can have other types of methods as well. And abstract classes can have constructors, right? They are just normal classes. They can have constructors which will be used by theirs, although we cannot instantiate objects from them. But this constructor will be used by their subclasses or their children because of the constructor chaining. If you are new and you haven't looked at my video about constructor chaining, please take a look. This is an important concept in object-oriented programming. And we also see that it is an abstract class and it does have variables as well. Now if I remove this method or just comment it out, okay, so now when I have commented it out, my class does not have any abstract method, but the class is okay. It is not generating any error. Why? Because although if you have an abstract method, make sure your class is abstract. But you can have an abstract class without having any abstract method. Now take the same look and compare it with how does that look in interfaces, okay? So let's generate an interface and see what can and cannot be done in the interface, okay? Now I have my interface. It is declared by using the keyword interface and I'm calling it my test interface. Let's say I have an integer x in here. So it says, what is first thing in there? Can I not declare a variable? No, because by declaration or by requirement, all variables in an interface have to be constant final. Constant final. What does that mean is, although I did not use the word final in there, but they are by nature final, so the keyword doesn't need to be used. I cannot change this variable. For example, I cannot say x is equal to 10 because then that will cause a problem because, hold on. That will cause a problem because it's worried about, because x has a fixed value, it cannot be changed to another value, okay? So do understand, although classes can have, abstract classes can have final variable or variable that can vary, interfaces can only have constant final variables. You cannot change them. Now let's say, can I have a getter and a setter for this x? First of all, I cannot just declare this x. Let's assume I have another variable, let's say string y, and I left it alone. Well, let's just spell wrong, I apologize. I saw a string type variable. Now I have an error because if I do use a variable in interface, it need to be declared right there and it cannot be changed further on, right? So I cannot just use a variable and decide about, oh, I will assign it a value whenever I feel like it. No, it should be assigned and it cannot be changed. Now let's say if I insert code in here, what do I have? I have no getter or setter method, or so I cannot have a constructor. So let's say I want to decide, let's say, why can I not have a constructor? So I just use the constructor rules and try to make a constructor, and I'm having an error. It says that's it, cannot have a body. Okay, I don't have a body, but now why are you not letting me have this method? Well, what does it say now? It says identifier expected. Now, because there is no concept of a constructor in an interface. An interface does not have a constructor. To understand, constructors are used to assign values to the variables, right? But in interfaces, the values are fixed. You assign them when you declare the variables. So you cannot assign new values to them, so you don't have a constructor, right? There is no constructor in interfaces. Now let's see, can I have, let's say, normal method? So I say void void set let's say get x. Let's say I have a method, let me call it just an integer get x. So I'm going to write a getter method for get x, and I put a body in there and I say return x. Well, I cannot change it, but can I access it? There is a fuss in here. All the methods in an interface must be abstract. They cannot have any body. So that method is not going to work for me. I have to put that in. But I did not put the word interface in there, abstract in there. So by default, all the methods in an interface are abstract. So these are some of the few differences. So let's kind of summarize our discussion about differences between the interfaces and the abstract classes. So let's take a look at this. So there is a brief review side by side of abstract classes and interfaces. Although both deal with abstract methods, but there are few differences between an abstract class and an interface. So can change, sorry, can have, no, I wanted to say can change variable values. So you can have x is equal to 2 and another statement can change x is equal to 4 later on. But in interfaces, all variables are given final values when they are declared, cannot change their values. So they are constant final values. Abstract classes can have constructors, but there is no concept of constructors in interfaces, okay? An abstract class can have concrete and abstract method together, but an interface can only have abstract methods. There is no concept of a concrete method. What is a concrete method? A concrete method is a method that has a body, right? An abstract method does not have a body. So keyword abstract must be used in an I will say in an abstract method signature. So if you are writing a method that you declare to be abstract and it's part of an abstract class, you better use the keyword abstract, otherwise you will be signaled an error. But as all methods are public abstract by default in interfaces, we don't need the keywords. We can have private, protected, or public methods in abstract classes, so all kind of access is allowed, but all methods and interfaces are public. So these are the few differences between abstract classes and interfaces, and I expect that this kind of have cleared out what are the similarities and differences in an abstract class and an interface. Always understand that a class is used to define an object and an interface is used to define a behavior. That's all. Please let me know if any topics that you are interested in, and I will post the videos on that, and I will be glad to add my explanation. Thank you. Appreciate it. I hope you like it. Bye.